welcome back to another WEC preview because we are here at Fuji Speedway for round 6 of the FIA World Endurance Championship, and there is so much for us to unpack ahead of this race weekend. But Sam, let's start by talking about this track, because you were telling me earlier that this is a place that, well, after many visits, it still gets you excited. What is it about this place that does it for you?
It's just got its own uniqueness, a feel like no other track. It's mile-long straight, and then you've got this really technical third sector, which the drivers have to get right. They'll use a lot of simulator work to get that right. But the overall passion of the fans is kind of what makes it. You know, you turn up at 7 o'clock on the race morning and there's a line of guys and girls waiting to get into the pit lane with, you know, all their costumes and all their banners and their favourite drivers.
So much enthusiasm.
It's just terrific to see. And the other interesting thing for me is, you know, we came away from Monza with Toyota having got a degree of revenge after Le Mans in Ferrari's backyard, and now the roles are reversed. So Ferrari are going to be looking for blood here at the heartland of Toyota. So I think that's going to be one of the key narratives of the race this weekend.
Well, I think that's a really good place to start, is perhaps Toyota, home race for them. They've been incredibly successful here. What's it going to take for them to repeat that?
Well, it's more than a case of copy, cut, paste and repeat, or whatever you want to call it. You know, the interesting thing for Fuji is nobody tests here. So at Monza and Portimao and Spa, teams and manufacturers have previously tested there. That's not the case here. So you look at the people who've got experience, Toyota, Peugeot, and they're carrying a bit of momentum from Monza with their third place there, their kind of breakthrough podium. So Peugeot could be a real surprise here because they've got a lot of data from last year too. But don't forget how quick that Ferrari is in a straight line. And we've got one of those that goes way into the distance here on the pit straight. So I think Ferrari will be scenting another chance to put one over on Toyota this weekend.
Well, speaking of Ferrari, yeah, you say just then that they are quick in a straight line. However, as you mentioned, no experience of Fuji. Do you think that could be a telling factor come Sunday afternoon?
It could be, because you know, with the microclimate here, you know, you can get a lot of inclement conditions, not just rain, but a bit of a wind, there's undulations here. So it can be a sort of living, breathing thing, the racetrack here. And without that data and previous experience, you're kind of on the back foot ever so slightly. Having said that, Ferrari will have been working overtime in the simulator back in Italy and getting things honed and prepared here. So they will be prepared, and I think the free practice sessions here will be even more vital than usual.
Well, one thing I do want to celebrate is, of course, Peugeot's first podium at Monza. To be honest, when you see the team's reaction, it felt almost like a victory for them with how much progress they've made with that car. What do you think will need to happen for them to be up front, actually fighting with Ferrari and Toyota for the overall victory this weekend?
Yeah, it was great to see, wasn't it? Those scenes
Truly.
of celebration in Monza. So much hard work went into it. When you think where they were at Sebring and Portimao early in the season, Spa seemed to be a breakthrough for them. They seemed to
100%.
learn a great deal. They had a really decent Le Mans. Okay, didn't get the ultimate results that they could have got there. And then at Monza, they had a really nice clear run. So reliability, it's coming, it's getting much better. The pace of the car now needs to be exploited. And I think coming back to tracks that they've got experience of in 2022 can only help them. And of course, we've got a new fresh face in the team as well this weekend.
Well, how about we talk about that? Who is our fresh face and what on earth is he doing here?
Well, he's like, for WEC purposes, he's like a new boy, isn't he? Stoffel Vandoorne. And he's a guy who knows this place inside out because he was 2016 Super Formula champion and lived over here for that year pretty much. He's kind of university year of racing. So he's got a great deal of experience of the track. I'm not sure how much running he's had in the Peugeot, in the 9X8. Obviously isn't as much as Nico Muller's had. But I think that team now seems to be running a lot smoother operationally. So I think he'll slot in really nicely to that team. And I think what you saw last year with the 94 in particular, who are fighting for a podium, then, yeah, translating that data to this year and just kicking on with that momentum that they got and that kind of morale boost of that third place at Monza should put them in a good position come Sunday afternoon.
Before we continue with our hypercars, something that's just happened, starting to rain. And the forecast this weekend, looking a little bit unpredictable. What surprises could that throw up for our teams?
Well, Fuji always throws up some surprises. It's like an Asian Spa in a way. Yeah, an Asian Spa
That's
Francorchamps.
pretty fair.
It does come in quickly. It kind of sets. So often when it does rain, it's set in for quite a long period of time. the long-term forecast actually shows that it should be okay on Sunday. But Saturday, not so sure.
So a spicy quali, perhaps?
Could be an interesting qualifying. Of course, the bearing of the race, somewhere like here where it's quite easy to, well, not easy, but it's not a major challenge to overtake with this huge straight, shouldn't be a big deal in terms of qualifying. But getting the setup for a race that might be fully dry, that's why free practice is so important. And if they're mixed conditions, then it could throw a few more curveballs into the whole direction that the race goes in.
Well, perhaps some teams will be looking for some curveballs and some spice this weekend are the hypercar teams we haven't spoken about yet. Cadillac, Porsche, Glickenhaus not here with us this weekend, but of course Van Wall. Who do you think has the potential to perform the best around this track?
It's really hard to say because, as I mentioned, they've not been here before, so they'll be kind of chasing a little bit, chasing the pace. And Porsche really have done that quite a lot this season, haven't they? They've been trying to find the ultimate pace of this fantastically looking 963 car. Will there be a breakthrough this year? I don't know. Part of me thinks that maybe what they're going to have to do is get through these last two races, get some strong performances, some solid points, which they've got in previous races, and then go away and do some testing in winter to come back stronger for 24. Cadillac, I think, could be a big surprise. I think they've got the potential to be really good. Yes, they've not tested here, but they hadn't done that at some of the tracks where they got some solid results. You know, they got a couple of fourth positions. They're going to be targeting that podium with Alex Lynn, Earl Bamber, who's got a great deal of experience here as well, and Richard Westbrook, who, unbelievably, it's his first time in Japan this weekend, which I didn't know. Which, you know, you look at the duration of his fantastic career,
given his calibre of experience,
quite a surprise. So I've got a funny feeling that lovely, grunty sounding blue hybrid hypercar is going to be one of the surprises throughout the duration of the 6 hours.
Let's move on to LMP2 because we've had 5 different winners from 5 rounds so far. So it makes, well, certainly for me, it quite tricky to pick out someone who will be on the top step this weekend. But Sam, go on, give me your thoughts. Who should we be keeping an eye out for here?
Well, WRT, I think you have to look at them as potential favourites. I think what they've achieved this year, and actually didn't start off too good at Sebring. They were struggling a bit with how they adapted to the tyres and getting the tyres up to speed. Obviously, that's changed somewhat. They've learnt a bit more as well. I think United Autosports, they've had some successes here previously. Didn't have a really strong Fuji last season, but you know, we saw Jota, didn't we, at Monza, who, not exactly a surprise, but the fact that David Heimeyer Hansen had that stellar race puts you into a position. Having said that, it's going to be interesting because the 31 WRT, which won here last year, and 2 of those drivers are still in that team, Sean Gelael and Robin Freins, they've had some appalling luck in recent races.
Seriously,
they kind of owed something. I mean, it doesn't work in racing like that, unfortunately, but it just feels like they're owed something.
Yeah.
I think if they can reprise what they had last year, but then the question's going to be, with the 41 car at the head of the points table, are they going to be asked to sort of protect them? I'm sure they won't until it's mathematically impossible for them to win the championship, but it's going to be interesting. There might be some, I think we might be starting to see here in the 2023 WEC some potential intra-team orders coming into play, whether it's Toyota, which you know is another story here on their homeland, but WRT could be looking at the longer term gain of
that championship.
Of the championship, exactly. So you know how that's going to actually work in and how they're going to choreograph that. It's always super difficult because they've got a dozen other people wanting to have a nibble at them during the race.
Well, as we are passing the LMGTE Am cars, let's talk about the number 33 Corvette Racing. Secured that World Championship in record time, having won the title in Monza, but there is still plenty of pride to play for the rest of this season. Of course, we have to talk about the return of Rexy. I can see that beautiful dinosaur livery. There are actually dinosaurs all over the paddock thanks to that car, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. Sam, what are we looking at this weekend? What is the state of affairs in LMGT?
Well, the most important thing is we've got to call Rexy Godzilla, haven't we, this weekend? I mean, okay, it is Rexy. Everybody knows and loves Rexy, but maybe
when in Japan?
brackets Godzilla
for
this weekend.
Agreed.
I mean, it just looks fantastic. You know, that car has sort of captured the imagination of lots and lots of kids out there. I mean, I was on
and adults, frankly.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obvious. You know, we love it too. But I think in LMGTE Am, interestingly, the Corvette, the champs, they did it super early with 2 rounds to spare. The most that any team in that category has won during a season was 5 times. which was back with a number 98 Aston Martin. They'll be targeting that. They'll want to do the clean sweep in a sense.
In true Ben Keating fashion, he wants to do everything.
He wants to finish off the season as successfully as possible. It's interesting, every manufacturer in this category has won, apart from Aston Martin. And wouldn't it be an amazing story if the D station, the 777, were to win? You remember last season, it was right at the back of the grid and came forward and was leading at times. And they had a terrific result too. Imagine what a fairy tale it would be if they could do something. After Monza as well.
A home race here
After Monza, they got the car wiped out in that collision with Sebastian Buemi. So that's the kind of fairy tale aspect of that category. But of course, then we've got the Iron Dames. You've got Proton, who won obviously last time out in Monza,
very competitive,
who looked really good. Julian Anlauer was fantastic back in Monza. So they've got a chance as well. As ever in that category, it's really tough to call, but I've just got a sneaky feeling that the D station could get that fairy tale finish with Fuji-san, Hoshino and Casper Stevenson. And after their Le Mans, don't forget they had a big shunt at Le Mans, and what happened in Monza, it'd be such a feel-good story.
Speaking of your sneaky feelings, your predictions in Monza were, as much as I hate to admit it, alarmingly good. So let's see what you've got for me today. Who's going to be on the top step of the podium in each of those categories?
Inside information now, we're talking inside information.
Not to give it away, but...
It's hard to look past Toyota. I think we'll get a really good race between Toyota and Ferrari, but ultimately I think the experience of this place will tell. The interesting thing is going to be, with that 23-point gap between the number 8 and the number 7, how that's going to pan out for the final race where there's extra points on offer in Bahrain. And then don't forget that on the same points as the number 7 crew, who've won 3 races this season, but are second in the championship, we've got the Collado, Giovinazzi and Pierre Guidi Ferrari 499.
That rivalry.
So it's going to be hard to call, but ultimately I think one of the Toyotas is just which one. I think it's going to be number 7 and number 8, Alexa.
Okay.
LMP2, again, super hard to say. I'll go back to what I said before. I think WRT will win. So in a similar vein to Toyota, it's going to be which one? Is it going to be the 31 or the 41? And is there going to be some kind of choreography? Let's see on that. That could be a bone of contention running through Sunday afternoon. But something just tells me that Sean Gelael and Robin Freins might do the double here and score back-to-back Fuji wins. Obviously this time with Ferdinand Habsburg. So that'd be an interesting one for them. LMGTE Am, I think. Again, I mentioned the 777. I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
I'm not twisting with them. I just think fantastic home story, and there'll be some sake flowing in the paddock on Sunday afternoon if that were to happen.
And I noticed also, we spoke about this earlier, I'm going to chuck mine in. I don't often get to do this. I'm going to chuck my predictions in.
I should have introduced that a bit more,
please.
shouldn't I? Yes.
Let me.
Okay.
I'm going to go a bit rogue compared to you then. I will go 51 Ferrari. The Vector Sport for LMP2, been strong this season but had a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, I like that. That's very rogue.
I like to celebrate Rexy's return, so maybe the Project One on the top step of the podium.
And then we all wear Godzilla costumes.
We're all wearing inflatable dinosaur costumes.
I brought mine's in my luggage.
Yeah. You've got yours in your suitcase, right?
Of course.
Always prepared. Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you tune in for the race this Sunday. Follow along with all of the action on FIAWEC.tv and, of course, across all of our social platforms. We'll see you post-race for the race debrief.